Though man has been able to fly for only the bat of an eye in all of history's life, man's imagination has soared since history was born. Though man may, at times, be bound by the chains of oppression, man's imagination has always walked free. Though man, limited in tongue and geography, finds it difficult to pass borders, man's imagination has never seen a boundary that it could not overcome. In short, we can put our minds to anything. These words may appear to be wildly optimistic and naive, but without the people who believed in them, the inventions of the world would have never come into fruition. Such is the case with flight. I am sure that at some point in your lives, you have heard of the Wright brothers, two magnificent Americans who, in the first decade of the 20th century, forever revolutionized the world with their lightweight flying plane. Their story is no doubt one of dedication, perseverance, and determination. Today, I want to share a story about a different man. A man who, while less known, had no less spirit and imagination. A man who saw no limits to what he could do, and who set out every day to accomplish what everyone around him said he could not. His name was Alberto Santos Dumont. Alberto Santos Dumont was born in 1873 to Enrique Dumont and Francisca de Paulo Santos of Brazil. At the age of 10, a dream came to him while he gazed in marvel at the skies of Brazil. His dream was to fly. From that moment on, Santos Dumont worked tirelessly to create aircraft of all sorts. His failures were numerous and his critics even more so. He was often stuck on the ground and at one point dangling from the side of a hotel. To many, Santos Dumont's work seemed unreasonable and too difficult, but he said, "The more they laughed at me, the happier I was, knowing that someday the laugh would be on my side." And with that, on October 23, 1906, Santos Dumont successfully uncreated one of the world's first airplanes, becoming a sensation across Europe and Brazil. It may have taken over 20 years, but the world did come to laugh on his side. Millions of people have been affected by his story. Santos Dumont has become immortalized proof of what persistence and determination can accomplish. Failure wasn't a deterrent, but a catalyst to his fervor. In order to be successful, he had to embrace his mistakes. Following his example, I hope to do the same by accepting failure as an outcome and working through it. Since beginning the Independent Study and Mentorship Program, I have gone to great lengths to bring my ideas from dreams to reality. And at the beginning, I had only a basic concept of aerospace engineering. I thought, I like flight, I like math, I like science, this has to be a good career, right? In no time at all, I found myself sorely, or rather delightfully, mistaken. The moment that I began my aerospace engineering research, I submersed myself in new information. In order to better grasp the full range of possibilities in aerospace engineering, I surrounded myself with both the theoretical and abstract information and the statistics and factual information. Furthermore, what I gained from my informational interviews was a valuable insight into becoming an effective employee, partner, and leader in the aerospace engineering field. While I'd love to elaborate on all of the fantastic information that I've learned, I'll contain my excitement for the sake of the time limit. First, I would like to share information about celestial mechanics. Celestial mechanics is a branch of astronomy concerned with the motion and orbit of celestial bodies. This subject enables aeronautical and astronautical engineers to plan interplanetary trips and account for all the forces affecting an aircraft and spacecraft mid-flight. Unfortunately, the math behind celestial mechanics is as complicated as you would think, but fret not, as a plethora of information can be drawn from the history behind the science. Celestial mechanics, unlike regular algebra, relies on a quaternion coordinate system based off of the work of 19th century physicist William Rowan Hamilton. The quaternion system utilizes imaginary numbers, or numbers expressed in terms of negative square roots, in order to predict movement and location. While the math behind quaternions requires extra work, it is more accurate in predicting movement and rotation than regular physics concepts. This is a testament to the power of alternative solutions and creativity. Next, I would like to discuss the history of navigation. We as a species didn't come to our GPS-laden society in an instant. Navigation has taken thousands of years to improve, and it began with celestial navigation. Travelers would use stars, such as Polaris, to figure out where they were located on the Earth. Over time, the sextant and the astrolabe enabled navigators to better find their longitudinal and latitudinal location. Even this, however, had problems, as maps of every night sky and every location and every time of day had to be determined. It was an inefficient hassle. The introduction of electricity, however, completely revolutionized the world of navigation. Now, aircraft often rely on VHF omnidirectional radio range, or VOR, to get around. VOR beacons have electromagnetic radials stemming out in 360 degrees. Pilots can use this to figure out where they are in relation to the VOR beacon. What they must do is tune into the radio frequency of the beacon, set which radian they would like, and their VOR equipment will tell them which way they must turn in order to match the radian. With 3 or more corresponding VOR signals, an aircraft can determine their location over a landmass. Another piece of equipment that is often attached to VOR beacons is distance measuring equipment, or DME. It's useful, but it cannot determine ground distance, only the exact distance from an aircraft to a VOR beacon. It is effective at long distances and low altitudes, but less so at high altitudes and closer distances, which can prove dangerous for flight. This has proven that navigation has come a long way and has a long way to go. I addressed the biological aspect of aerospace engineering, which, believe it or not, exists, with my inquiries on barotrauma, or bodily damage due to change in air pressure. As altitude increases, pressure decreases, and the volume of a gas expands. This affects the structure of a container because the gas molecules press against the sides of the container, or force it to implode. Ear canals are unfortunate victims of this chemical property. Damage can occur to the inner ear, outer ear, middle ear, or eardrum. Thousands of commercial flight passengers feel the symptoms of barotrauma up to this day. It's a symptom of flight that is unfortunately experienced, but I hope to address through my ISM original work. This is the majority of the information that I've drawn from my research. It is no doubt beneficial, but it pales in comparison to the valuable skills that I've drawn from my informational interviews. I have been fortunate enough to travel across the Dallas-Fort Worth area and interview aerospace and mechanical engineers who have all told amazing and varied stories, but with common themes amongst them. They have taught me the technical requirements for their jobs and the necessities for becoming an effective worker. The passions that these professionals hold was imparted upon me with each moment. The senior engineer who I interviewed at General Electric took me on a tour of their research facilities. The first lab that I looked at had rows upon rows of machines meant to test the durability and lifetime of products. The movement, heat, and humidity over 20 years could be tested in as little as 6.5 weeks to determine how effective a product was. Each machine has an operator and a team, depending on the project, and I still have yet to understand all of the controls. The next area that we entered had 2 rooms for the measurement of electromagnetic fields. The space resembled a soundproof chamber, but was filled with geometric pieces of equipment and elaborate wire arrangements. I learned that the massive machines could determine EMF interferences with other machines and in daily life. The final laboratory that we visited hosted all of the projects of the engineering teams. There were shelves upon shelves of new things that I could hardly imagine. The processes of circuit boards, receivers, transmitters, and more were explained to me. This transformative exposure taught me much of the engineering jargon that I need and put me in the shoes of an aerospace engineer. I now understand that my future occupation will be specialized beyond belief and be very hands-on, which is what I want out of a career. Of course, my newfound knowledge would mean nothing if I wasn't taught how to utilize it in an interpersonal setting. Fortunately, I was given as much practical advice as I was technological information. All of the engineers believe in certain interpersonal and intrapersonal skills that lead to success in the workplace. The first is effective listening. A retired defense engineer that I interviewed told me that communication has 2 parts, speaking and listening. Of course, concision and clarity are important when communicating, but also listening has benefits. If you listen to the responses of those that you are communicating with, you will learn if you are communicating effectively or not. The result is the perpetual improvement of your communication skills. By changing how you communicate to elicit good and understanding replies from your coworkers, you can become more effective in the workplace and in all social settings. This was something that I had not realized until it was told to me. The second skill that they value is adaptability. One of the characteristics of the aerospace engineering field is that nearly everything is learned on the job. The specialization in the workforce is nearly unparalleled in colleges, and it's impossible to decide which exact career you want to go into. Once an aerospace engineer enters their career, they must work to learn a multitude of new procedures and softwares. Even after being initiated into the workplace, engineering teams must convene multiple times a year to learn about new softwares, technologies, and updates entering their companies. Aerospace corporations value employees with the ability to learn and relearn, so I will keep my mind sharp and malleable. The third skill, which is applicable to all people, is learning from mistakes. The first professional that I interviewed, a flight test engineer from Bell Helicopter, explained to me that his entire career and that of his teammates is to check for mistakes and seek to improve errors. By doing this, his company is able to create safe, new, efficient products that can change the lives of many. Progress comes out of failure, just as it did for Alberto Santos Dumont. As much as I've learned, the learning doesn't stop here. I have my entire ISM year, and life for that matter, to improve upon what I have learned. There is no doubt in my mind that I will be an educated and confident worker in my future occupational choice. I have dreams that I want to make a reality, and I have obstacles that I must overcome each and every day, but they will not stop me. I will walk free, even soar, embracing the obstacles, knowing that even in failure, they will be overcome. Thank you.